Complaining about Jobkeeper. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee. Let's have a look at this article from news.com.au, and it's from sisters-in-law, so, well, you know it's going to be an entertaining one. So, boss forced worker onto Jobkeeper because she earned more than co-workers. Forced her onto Jobkeeper. Now, here's the thing. If you have staff, if times are getting tough and you need to make cuts, sometimes it's the more expensive people that you need to cut. It's more cost effective. If all things being equal, or maybe you can make do with the cheaper staff, that's the reality. That is the reality. Do people not realize we're entering a recession here? It seems like wow. It seems like an entitled question or lack of understanding. What do you think, guys? Before we go through this, let me know in the comments, what do you think it's going to be? So Katie has been at her job for a year, but after the pandemic hit, a bizarre request from her employer left her fuming. Oh, well, at least it wasn't a Karen. And I'm sure it's a made-up name, but still. So, good old sisters-in-law. I think these are going to be interesting little ones we look at. So, when coronavirus hit, I'd been working full-time for a company for 12 months, so not very long. 12 months isn't very long. Several of us were stood down, whereas others, who had only been employed for a few weeks and were still in probation, kept working. Now, here's the thing. Probation doesn't exist under a contract. It's just make-believe, really. When you're employed, you're employed. Technically, what you should do is you should have one contract for the period that you want to make someone a probation. Only hire them for 3 months, and then you re-engage them with another contract if you want to keep going with them. That's how you're meant to do it. That's how you're meant to do it. So if people are saying, oh, they're abusing the probation period, yada, 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 nah, it doesn't exist. They're probably just cheaper. Those employees still working are doing full-time work and overtime. It seemed totally unfair, so I questioned management about it, only to be told it was because I earned more than the others. So you're more expensive. This is what happens. When you have, well, wages dictated by the state. It's going to be unfair. Maybe you're not worth more than the others at the moment. I'm still on a stand-down receiving Jobkeeper payments, and now they've asked me to work at a new facility temporarily, which is 1.5 hours from home. That kind of sucks. They probably want to get rid of her, but they are not going to make her redundant. They've also said I will only receive the Jobkeeper payments for this work, which is less than my usual weekly wage. I feel like I'm being ripped off, and this is Kate from Hobart. What do you think, everyone? What do you think? So answer. But, aren't they getting... Well, of course the Jobkeeper's less than the weekly wage. The whole Jobkeeper thing has just been a bloody mess. It really has. It's just to hide real unemployment, and it is... No, it's because the government is imposing these insane economic restrictions. Whoever thought the government had this power to do this? Who would have thought they'd do it for what's going on now? Answer. There have been some changes to the law that allow employers to temporarily change certain work conditions to help them deal with the financial impact of the pandemic and keep workers employed. It's all to hide the unemployment rate. We can see you are concerned that your employer is making decisions that unfairly apply to you and treating you differently to your co-workers. Once an employer qualifies for the Jobkeeper scheme, they can change your work conditions either by agreement or by issuing what's called a Jobkeeper enabling direction. These directions allow your employer to do all of the things they have done or are proposing to do, including choosing where you are located for your work, changing your duties, and stand you down. That's the thing, guys. What would you rather? Have Jobkeeper and have some money, or be unemployed? There you go. Oh, she has to travel an hour and a half. Well, them's the breaks sometimes. We've all done it. We've all had to commute long distances. I've done it for work. A stand-down under Jobkeeper may include a direction to not work at all or to work fewer hours or days than you ordinarily would work. However, just because your employer has issued these directions doesn't mean they were made lawfully. The directions are subject to a number of restrictions. They must be reasonable in all circumstances, comply with any requirements to provide notice or consult with you, as will be normally required in your workplace, and be in writing. Just like in your situation, it is common for some employees to be stood down and some won't be. How many employees can be stood down depends on the amount of work there is to be performed. Each employee must be providing some economic value to the employer. See, this is the thing. People seem to not appreciate the fact that they could just get fired. They could just be said, sorry, we don't have enough work. This coronavirus lockdown is hitting us too hard. You're being made redundant. That can happen. For your stand down to be lawful, you must be unable to be usefully employed for your normal days or hours during the stand-down period because of business changes caused by the pandemic. On this basis, your employer can choose which staff are stood down. You must not make such decisions based. They must not make decisions based on such unlawful grounds such as age, disability, gender, or race. Length of service with an employer is not a relevant factor. Unfair dismissal, general protections, and anti-discrimination laws all continue to apply with respect to your employer's directions. The direction to return to work at another location in return for receiving the Jobkeeper payment is another issue to consider. If your normal wage is more than the Jobkeeper payment, and it is proposed that you work your usual hours, you should be receiving the full pay with the Jobkeeper payment subsidizing part of your income. When considering an alternative work location, your employer should ensure the location is suitable to perform your duties. This means they must not require you to travel a distance that is unreasonable in all the circumstances. It is hard to tell if a commute of 1.5 hours is excessive without not knowing how far it is to your usual workplace and more about your personal circumstances. If you think it's unreasonable, you should outline this to them in writing. It probably would be unreasonable for someone in Tasmania. I think it would be exceptional in Tasmania to commute that much. Let me know in the comments, the Tassies that are watching. I think probably in Sydney or in Melbourne, there's some people that do that. Some people that have mentioned in videos that they do that. Here in Brisbane, that'll be probably a little bit more than the Gold Coast, probably a Tweed to Brisbane trip every day. I did the Gold Coast to Brisbane every day when I was studying. The trick was to do the commute, to drive into work after peak, like start work at 10:30, started a little bit later and finish later, so you miss all the traffic. So it's just a 45-minute run. You miss all those tradies getting their meat pies in the morning. The duties that are requiring you to do at the new facility must also be reasonably within your skills and competence and be reasonably within the scope of your employer's business. If after reading this you think you've been asked to do something unreasonable or have been treated unfavorably, there may be many different legal avenues available to you. I mean, see, just think about this. Think about this from the employer's perspective. This person, is a liability now. Their potential, if there's the potential of legal action against your business because of hiring this person, think about it. I mean, if they're a big business, they probably have the capacity for that, but for a smaller business, that's the thing. All of these rules and regulations create another impediment to employing people, and they disincentivize people from creating jobs. That's the harsh reality of it. All these things designed to be fair and good, and generate equality, they create another disincentive to work. How would you feel if you're doing everything you can to keep someone employed and they go you with the lawyers? That's the type of thing that hardens employers, everyone. For example, if your pay is going to be reduced without your agreement and with an expectation you'll work the same hours, you may have a breach of contract claim. You may have a claim under anti-discrimination legislation if, for example, your employer has made the direction based on the fact that you're over 60 years old, have caring responsibilities, or have a health issue. Any of these directions issued by your employer to stand down, change your duties, or location of work can be disputed with the Fair Work Commission. We suggest getting advice quickly so you know where you stand. So this is general legal advice. It's like the couple advice they get from the magazines they used to write into. So what do you all think, everyone? Do you think the employee's complaining? Do you think they're justified? Would you keep someone on if this was the potential risk? We'll have to see. What is the fallout of all of this Jobkeeper mess going to be? As always, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can use our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. Or you could buy our merch from HeiseSays. Take care, have a great day, and I will see you all in the next episode.